Okay. Now, so last time we had executed this program, and are there any difficulties, any doubts, students? If there are, please let me know. Then we will, if we will solve those doubts, and then we will proceed with today's concepts. Okay. Now the next is that we will try to write one more program. Okay, wherein we will try to swap the two values of the variables, not basically the variables which are statically allocated but dynamically allocated, right? We are going to interchange the values of two numbers using the concept of dynamic memory allocation. Okay, now here you are going to help me out in order to write the program. You know the concept of how we need to change the or interchange the values of two memories, but now you are going to tell me how we need to do it using the pointers. That is dynamic memory allocation. So I require 2 pointers, so I have declared 2 pointers here. Okay, now let me know how we can allocate the memory here, P1 as well as P2. So P1 is equals to what?
Int asterisk in the bracket.
Int asterisk. Next,
Malloc size of int.
malloc size of int. Then semicolon. The same thing should also do for the second pointer, that is P2. Okay, now we will ask user to enter two numbers, isn't it? Now tell me someone else how to write a statement. First, let me write the printf statement. Enter two numbers. Okay. Yes. Now, tell me scanf statement.
Percentage D, P1 comma P2.
Yes, P1 comma P2. Okay, now why we are not writing the and, that is ampersand P1 and ampersand P2 here? Why we are not writing that?
P1 is storing address.
Yes, P1 and P2 are the pointers which shows the memory addresses. So we need to specify ampersand here. So whatever we write, that is going to be updated in the location where this P1 and P2 are pointing out. Okay, now before swapping of the numbers, we will print those numbers first. So printf, let me write it as before swapping, say a first number equals to percentage d, and we can have a slash t, and then second number equals to percentage d, and then a slash. Now how can I retrieve the first number here? I want to retrieve the value of first number. Then what should I write now? Now I want to print the number over here, right, as a percentage d format specifier. Then what should I write over here to retrieve the first number, which is being or which is being pointed by pointer P1?
Asterisk P1, sir.
Asterisk P1, and the second number is asterisk P2. So value located at P1 and value located at P2 will give the first number and the second number. Okay, now we need to swap the numbers. Okay, now here we will not use the temporary variable directly with the arithmetic operations. The second concept, we will try to swap the numbers. What is the first statement we should write? I just need the answer from other than these two students, Charan and Aniketa. Apart from them, anybody else can tell me interchanging the two values?
Asterisk P1 is equals to asterisk P1 plus asterisk P2.
Asterisk P1 is equals to asterisk P1 plus asterisk P2. Okay, next statement.
Asterisk P2 is equals to asterisk P1 minus asterisk P2.
Okay, good. Appreciate that you're answering, but Can you be in a, but there are some background noises where you are sitting. Can you be positioned yourself somewhere else so that there is no background noise? Next statement. Third one.
Asterisk P1 is equals to asterisk P1 minus asterisk P2.
Okay. Now we want to print, after swapping, we want to print the swapped numbers. So let me make use of the above statement and then just change this as after swapping. Okay. Now, so far I was executing directly through this interface IDE. Now let's go back from the terminal so that you can remember those things. Okay. Now, how do we compile the program, C program? What is the command we use? How do we compile C programs?
So GCC.
GCC followed by the file name. So in this case, it is file number 15. It's compiled. Since there are no warnings, there are no message errors, means it is free from the errors. Now let us execute the program. How do we execute? How do we execute C programs? Through the terminal. Forgotten. /.
A dot out.
Out. We usually write it as /a.out, but in this case it is a.exe because of the environment which I'm using here. It is a.exe. Enter two numbers, say 10 and 100. So before swapping, first number 10, second number 100, and after swapping, first number is 100 and second number is 10. Okay. The logic remains same, but only the way how the memory is allocated to those values is differs. If you look into this code, we have never used any static variables, right? Instead of that, we use the pointers, and these pointers are having the memory locations, which is from the heap section. That means the dynamically allocated memory. Okay. Now another point to highlight. I will now pay attention to this particular highlighted content, that is byte size. Byte size need not to be always only the size of int. It can be related to its own data types. Suppose if it is a float, then we can give it to be a size of float and all. Okay. Apart from that, we can also write something like this. We can directly write something like this, like malloc 2. So 2 means here it is going to allocate 2 bytes of memory. I can even write 100 also. That is P2 is equals to int asterisk malloc 100. 100 means what? What is going to happen? 100 bytes of a memory is going to be allocated. Okay. So the point to understand here is that the byte size which we will give as the parameter, it need not to be always the size of the respective variables of the respective data types, like a size of int, size of char, size of float, or of size of double. We can give our own numbers also, like 100. We can even give something as a 50. So what is going to happen? The 50 bytes are going to be allocated, which can be accessed by using the pointer P. Okay, this is also possible. This is the advanced concept of the malloc functions. Okay, now whenever we allocate the memory using the malloc function, okay, what it does, it allocates the memory, and in those particular memory, a garbage value will be placed. Garbage value means what? Any random number, it could be a positive number or a negative number will be placed. Okay, now to overcome this scenario, wherein the allocation of garbage values can be taken out. So to overcome that one, we do have another type of a memory allocation that is called as calloc. Calloc means the contiguous memory allocation. Okay, the two problems with the malloc is that first is it allocates only a single block of memory. Okay, here pay attention, here single block means it is not only one byte. It means a block of set of memories. Like when I specify here 50, it is like a single block of 50 bytes. This statement size of int means it is a single block of 2 bytes of memory. If I write, suppose, one more statement, like suppose if I replace with 1000, that means a single block of 1000 memory, that is 1000 bytes, is allocated. So it gives us a single block of memory allocated, which can be pointed by the corresponding pointer. Second is that the memory, whatever is being allocated, will contain the garbage values. Sometimes it contains the garbage in the modern compilers, modern architecture. Sometimes it contains a garbage, or sometimes it may also contain a value 0. But in the older editions, whenever we allocated the memory using the malloc, it used to only contain the garbage values. So these are the two drawbacks. That is, first one is a single set of blocks. Second is the garbage values. Now, suppose if we require contiguous memory allocations to be done, like arrays. In arrays, what happens? Arrays we have studied as what? Arrays are nothing but a group of elements which have the same data type and which can be accessed by the same memory or the same name of the array. So if we want to have such type of memory allocation to be done, and that too using the dynamic memory allocation, then we need to use something called as the contiguous memory allocation, right? The second one type of dynamic memory allocation is called as calloc. Calloc here stands as what? Contiguous allocation. Contiguous allocation. The name contiguous means what? The memory blocks will be allocated, but not one block, but it is a multiple blocks. Whatever user specifies, those many blocks of memory will be allocated by the runtime at the time of execution. And secondly, whatever the memory it allocates, all will have an initial value as 0. Initial value 0 means it will never contain a garbage value. It will be having a 0 value as the default values. Okay. Now, the syntax of this is ptr equals to, it goes in the same way as of the malloc with a little modification. The cast type remains same because to which particular data type we are trying to convert it, the cast type, and then the name of the function, that is calloc, calloc. Okay, and here we need to specify two things. As it is a contiguous memory allocation, we need to tell how many blocks of memory is required. That is, we can generalize it as n. That is, we require n blocks, and each these n blocks should have a specific size. That size can be given as a block size here. Block size, and then semicolon. Okay, let me explain this with the example here. So example here, if I can take, say, example, call it to be a pointer p equals to integer pointer. I want to convert it to using the calloc function. Okay, now since it takes two parameters, let me say 5, comma, size of, say, int. So meaning here is that I'm going to allocate memory blocks using contiguous memory allocation. Contiguous memory allocation means there will be a group of blocks which are going to be allocated dynamically. How many groups? That is, how many elements? 5 elements. For the 5 elements of the type of what? Integer. See, the second parameter says the block size. Block size here is what? 2 bytes for the integers. So 2 blocks for each of these 5 elements it is going to allocate. So that means total it is going to allocate 5 into 2, that is 10 bytes of memory. So 10 bytes of memory means what we can do? We can make use of a single pointer p, okay, like this. Suppose whenever we allocate initial memory, assume that initial memory of p is, say, p contains 1000 memory location, 1001 memory location initially, but it has allocated with what? 5 such elements. That means to generalize this one, p plus 0 will be pointing to 1001. Okay, now p plus 1, if I perform, notice here p plus 1 means the memory address I'm trying to increment now. Can you tell me what it will be pointing to when I have a p plus 1?
1003.
1003. Very good. Then P plus 2 will give me access to
1005.
1005.
1005. Then P plus 3 100,
1007.
and then the last one P plus 4 will give me access to 1009. So total from 1001, that is 1001 up to 1010, 10 memory blocks will be allocated when this particular statement is executed. And each block means here it consists of 2 bytes. Actually. The first block is for 2 bytes, wherein I can get the first element's value. According the same way, we can get 2 consecutive blocks for the every element. So is it similar to the concept of an array here? Is it similar to the concept of array?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? So even we can making use of the dynamic memory allocation by using the Kellogg function, we can still allocate the group of elements under the same data type. Okay, we will see one simple example here. And whenever I allocate the memory using Kellogg, the default values are going to be what? The zeros here. All these memory blocks, whatever these memory blocks are pointing to, those will be having a default value as 0. So if in an exam, if we get a 2, probably there is a chance that you will get a question for 2 marks or even for 5 marks. Differentiate between malloc and Kellogg. The major 2 points are what? I will give you the in detail explanation or the difference table later. But the first 2 major differences are what? The first one is malloc allocates single block of memory, whereas Kellogg allocates what? Is it allocates only single block or multiple blocks?
Multiple.
Multiple block.
It allocates multiple block of memory. The second difference is what? The malloc, in malloc, by default, garbage values will be placed in the memory blocks, whereas in the calloc, the default value is 0. These are the 2 major differences of malloc and Kellogg functions. Understood, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let's simply write a simple program to demonstrate the Kellogg. Okay. Let's go here. The next number 16, call it as Kellogg. Okay. Now, int asterisk p. Let me make use of only one variable, and I need to specify the size, right? So I can take it as a static variable here, n, to specify that, so that we can have a proper for loops for that. Okay. Then I also require an variable I to store or the count for the looping statements. Now, I want to initialize the pointer p. I want to allocate the pointer p dynamically so that a group of elements can be allocated. So it is going to be p equal to int asterisk Kellogg. Okay. Now I need the size. So before I write a n here, I need to read that particular n, right? So that can be read in the previous couple of 2 lines here. Say printf say how many elements. So that means what? How many elements I want to store here, right? So those many elements I'm going to read it here. So scanf say %d ampersand n. So this n is not a dynamic, it is a statically allocated memory. Okay. Now I can pass 2 parameters. The first parameter is how many blocks I want. So that value is stored in the variable n. Okay. And then each block or each element should have 2 bytes of memory, that is size of int. Size of int. Now what it will make? Suppose if I enter the n value as 10, then 10 into 2 bytes is going to be allocated by this particular statement. it depends upon what I enter at the time of execution. Suppose here if I enter 2, then it is going to allocate 2 values, that is 2 into 2, 4 bytes. Okay, now understood students here, these 3 statements? Okay,
Yes, sir.
then how do we retrieve the values and how we can store into those particular memory blocks? Let me simultaneously try to show you the Excel sheet for your better understanding. Give me a moment. Just a second, it's loading. Okay. Now let me place this side. On the other side, let me place the program. Okay. Now when I declare, assume that n value here is going to be 5. Sorry, n is going to be 5. Okay, and so it is going to allocate what? N into integer size, that is 2 bytes. So I have few bytes of memory here. So let it be start from 1001. Okay, now we have a particular pointer P. Okay, now this is the location of P where we are going to save the values. Okay, now initially it contains 1001 memory location, and let me put in the other locations here. Okay, now these 10 blocks are going to be stored or allocated whenever this line number 11 gets executed, and the P, the pointer P, will have its first address, that is 1001 over here. Now what we need to do is that we need to read 5 elements, right? The 5 elements which are going to be stored under these memory blocks. These are going to be stored under these particular memory blocks. We can make use of the for loops here, like for I equals to 0, I less than n, so we need 5 numbers, and then I plus plus. Okay, now scanf, we are going to read the values of integer data, so %d, and they have to be stored where? They have to be stored in the respective memory locations. First time the P value is 0, isn't it? That is, can I write it as P plus I? P plus I means what? P plus 0. In the first iteration, I value is what? 0. So P plus 0 means what? 1001 plus 0. That means the same memory location 1001. So the first number if I enter, that is going to be stored into the memory location here. Say if I enter 10, that 10 is going to be occupying over here. So these 2 memory blocks are reserved for the first element. Now, next time, for the second time, when I gets incremented, right? Now let me write it over here. This is I equals to 0. Okay. Now, when I becomes 1, the condition is true, then it comes to the scanf statement. In the scanf statement, it says P plus 1. So here P plus 1 means what? 1001 plus 1. So what will be the answer? 1001 plus 1 means
1003.
1003. So now P will be pointing, or the memory location we are going to access is what? 1003. So this happens when I becomes 1. That time, if I enter some number, say 20, that 20 is going to be stored here. So these two memory blocks will be reserved for, or will be taking the value 20. Next time when I becomes 2, in the for loop, when I becomes 2, p plus I. So 1001 plus 2 is going to be 1005. So whenever I becomes 2, these two memory blocks will be representing that one. And suppose if I enter 15, that is going to be stored. In the same way, I equal to 3 is for 1007. Let's say 25 and I enter there. And then I equal to 4 is for 1009. Say here I'm going to enter as 15. So for loop will be repeated for 5 times from this particular memory location up to the last, that is 1009 memory location. So at the end of these two statements execution, so we will be able to store all those values in these respective memory blocks. Understood, students?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, once the data is stored, now we are going to display them. A simple input and output operation, right? So printf the elements are /n. Okay. Now the same statement I can use like the similar way for I equal to 0, I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Now, can anyone tell me the printf statement here? How I need to retrieve these values? I want to just display the values here. What should I write here? %d and a slash and I will put. Now tell me, what should I write here at this particular?
Asterisk p plus I.
Asterisk p plus I. Okay. Anybody has any other answer here?
Sir,
Yes.
PTR in bracket I.
Okay, PTR means here we have a P, so we can take it as instead of
P,
PTR,
yes.
P. P
In bracket I.
like this way. You are telling like this. Let me write it this side. Asterisk P in bracket I.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, here it will not give us any proper values. P is not a function, no. So P, and if we give these brackets, it will be treating it as a function. So it is not a function here. This is not.
Okay, sir.
Here itself, can you check? We have two operations, that is asterisk and a plus. Which one has got the highest priority?
So asterisk.
Asterisk. So how it will populate? First, asterisk of P will be calculated. What is asterisk of P?
1001.
Asterisk of P. Asterisk of
So
P means what? Value located at P. So what P is?
Sir,
P is
10.
1001. At 1001, what value we have?
Sir, 10.
10. So it is going to be do what? 10 plus I. Right? Suppose if we run this program, let us see here. 1 second. Let me quickly execute and show you. Now let's compile this program. The program number is 16 GCC. Just a second. GCC, then 16. It's 16 itself. No errors. Run. Say 5 elements. Now, it did not run through that. Just a second. Say 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now, let me enter some other numbers, not 1, 2, and 3. It is taking little time to load the screen. 1 second. Say 3 elements. The first number is 10, second is 20, third is 30. Now, look at the result here. What is the output? 10, 11, and 12. Now, look into our code. Can you tell me where are we going wrong here? What is happening? Asterisk P plus I. So asterisk P means what? 10. 10 plus 0. 10 plus 0 is 10 itself. Okay. Now in the next iteration, I becomes 1. So asterisk P means again 10. 10 plus 1, 11. So 11 is printed. Now for the third time, I becomes 2. Asterisk P, that is 10. 10 plus 2, 12. Right? So now here we need, in order to get the correct result, we need to place brackets around the asterisk here. Around the asterisk. Now try to understand this code here. So brackets have got highest priority. Now what will happen? P, that is 1001 plus 0, that is 1001 itself, and at that location whatever value is there. So we get 10 over. We get 10. Next time when I becomes 1, this value will be computed as 1003, and a value located at 1003 is 20. So in this way, it is now going to retrieve the proper values which we enter. Okay, let us check it out by executing. Let us say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30. Now can you see we are getting the correct answers here? See, I did not enter the same values, but some different values I have entered. Understood, students, now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And once the program is executed, so we need to also deallocate the memory, which we have missed earlier. We need to write this statement also to keep the memory safe. Any doubts, students, here? This is very simple example.
No, sir.
In the next class, we have one journal program based upon this Kellogg. Okay, we'll write one journal program based upon this, wherein we are going to read n numbers and then add all those numbers and then print it. The same program I'm going to make use of and try to modify here and there so that we can calculate the sum of these numbers. Okay, remember 2 points. The first one is the Kellogg. The difference means what the Kellogg is used for. It is used to allocate contiguous memory locations. Okay, and the parameter for it is going to accept 2 parameters. First one is the number of elements, and size is the second parameter is size for individual of these elements. Okay, secondly is that the memory allocated using the Kellogg default value will be 0. The default values are 0 and not the garbage values. Okay, understood, students? Okay. In tomorrow's class, I will share you the code of malloc as well as the Kellogg, whatever programs we have worked it out. In next class, I will share you the code of that.